the transmission of the COVID-19 virus. We have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the Governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Mendon Select Board is convening by telephone conference as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Laura. So I'm going to set a few ground rules. This is our second virtual meeting. I think the first one went well. The ground rules are all participants are asked to please mute their phones except for the Select Board and our administrative assistant and town administrator. Note the materials for the meeting are available online through Novus or the town website for the public. Each agenda item will start with the Select Board discussion. Chair will call for specific participants described on the agenda. The chair will then open it up to participant comments and questions. Please take your phone, keep your phone on mute to make a comment or ask a question. Participants will be asked to state their full name and their address for the record. Please keep your phone on mute unless you are participating in the discussion. Once completed, please put your phone back on mute. Each speaker should state their name, as I said, before each presentation, comment, or question. All votes will be taken by roll call. The meeting minutes will reflect remote status.
Ann Mazar has joined the conference.
Any technical difficulties, I will suspend the meeting while attempts to resolve the issues are made. All votes casted by the Select Board, as I said, will be required by roll call. And with that being said, I'll open it up for citizen statements and petitions.
Hold on, sorry, it's Lonnie, real quick. Who just joined the meeting while Chris was speaking?
Ann Mazar.
No takers? Okay, thanks.
Citizen statements and petitions. Any? Hearing none, we'll move on.
I have
correspondence to the board. So we had one agenda item, correspondence on the board, which was soil removal permit, 7 Nipmuc Road, request for an extension. James, do you want to give me the update on this? It looks like the applicant is filing for an extension.
Correct. There is a letter in your packet from the attorney asking for additional days. He was delayed because of the COVID situation. He hasn't been able to get truck drivers he needs to haul away material.
Okay.
Chris, can I intervene? It's Cindy.
Hi, Cindy. Yep.
Under the recent legislation by the governor on Friday, I think it was, permits that were in effect as of March 10th, which I believe this one was, will not lapse or expire during the governor's state of emergency, and the expiration date of the permit or the time period for meeting a deadline or performing a condition of the permit is told during the state of emergency. So you may want to inform this person that they don't need their motion and that they have longer than just till the end of April by law.
Okay, great. That's good information. And Cindy, just for clarification, once the mandates are lifted, how long will the applicant have to complete the work? So we're clear for the record.
I'd have to go back and check each one. On the average, I'm going to say 45 to 60 days.
Okay, because this was a conditional. This was a conditional permit.
I'm sorry?
This was a conditional permit for 30 days?
It was a conditional permit?
Yeah, we had given it a 30-day, I believe. Is that correct, Laura?
Yes, that is correct.
But the time period for performance is told during the emergency. So if he had 30 days from March 10th, is 30 days. The emergency was declared on what, March 16th?
17th, I believe.
The 17th, I believe.
Yeah, so he gets to continue, he gets the toll for the days that the emergency order was in effect.
So that would give him an additional 15 days. I think is what I'm hearing.
No, I think it's going to give him until as many days as the order is in effect. Right? The emergency order is still in effect, so his time period, he is still running. His time's not running right now.
Yeah, no, I think you misunderstood my question, Cindy. What we want to be able to tell the applicant when once he reconvenes, how much time he has left to be able to finish. So if the executive order came in on the 17th, and he was 17 days into his 30 days, does that mean that he has 13 days remaining on his permit to complete the work?
It means he has, if the order came in on the 17th and say it goes out another 30 days?
No, once he reconvenes.
What?
Once he reconvenes work, once he's allowed to reconvene work.
He's allowed to reconvene work once the order is lifted from the governor.
Correct.
And the
how
governor,
much more time does he have to complete?
well, if he only had 30 days to begin with, and let's just say for the sake of argument he used 10 before the order, if the order is in effect for 60 days, then for 60 days he doesn't use one more day, so he would have 30 minus the 10 he used once the order got lifted.
Yeah, so he would have 20 remaining days once the order was lifted.
Yes, at a minimum, I just need to go back and check to make sure that the order didn't give you a set period of time from the time the order is lifted, regardless of how much time you otherwise would have had.
Okay.
So you have no more than 45 or 60 days after the order is lifted.
But can I just interject here? He's only asking to have a permit until April 3rd. We just grant it, or basically we don't even have to grant it because it's automatically happening. And then if he needs additional days after that, he'll still have additional days if he comes back again to request them. I don't know that we would necessarily want to tell him that he's got extra days at this point.
I don't think you need to act on his motion because by law he's guaranteed the time that we are under the executive order and he can't work. Even if he's only requested to April 30th, if he can't start April 30th, this is put in place so that boards don't have to keep hearing extensions, that no matter what, no one has to do anything during the executive order and your time doesn't start till it's over. But that's a board decision of how you want to tell him.
Yeah, I mean, can't we just contact him and say, based on the executive order, your permit doesn't actually expire on March 31st. Therefore, you can continue work. Please report back to us if you plan to extend beyond April 30th.
Listen, hold on. Can I say something real quick? Lonnie here. Just table this until the executive order is over. That's all we need to do, because then we can change the date if we need to then. We're spending entirely too much time on this, in my opinion.
I agree.
No, totally agree. We were just trying to work. I totally agree with you, Lonnie, and I'm about to say the same thing. Obviously we're trying to make sure that we do it right, but there's nothing that we need to act on right now, in my opinion.
That's correct, because his permit is automatically extended during the time we are under this executive order.
Okay, very good. So we will table this agenda item until the applicant comes back and asks us to to extend his permit. All right?
Yep.
So we're going to move off of that. We're going to move on to discuss the police station building project.
Excuse me,
I believe we have Don Moore and Chairman Joe Cronin on the line. Who would like to start?
I'll let Don take the lead on this. He's been more involved in the majority of the stuff.
Thank you, Joe. Don? Bueller? Don, you there?
Hold on a second. Let me ask a question. Dan, can you say something real quick?
Yeah, you can hear me?
I can hear you. You're saying that Bonnie's trying to comment on something?
Yes, can you hear me?
That's what it...
Hello, can you hear me?
Somebody just came in. Who's that?
Hi, can you hear me?
Kim, you have your phone merged, correct?
Correct, and was muted.
But your mute shouldn't quiet anybody on that.
Dan, can you hear me?
Well, I can unmute it and see if it does.
Okay, good.
Don Moran again.
Okay,
Joined the conference.
it's Don now. Okay, we got Don. And is there, sorry, Don, before you start, Bonnie, can you hear me?
Yes. Dan, can you hear me?
No.
This is Jen. I can hear her.
I can hear her, but nobody else can.
What
No,
number
I
did
can
Did you
too.
call in again?
What number did she dial into?
The number on the
Yes, sir.
agenda.
I'm going to ask her to dial in again.
Yep, please.
And this is Don. Can you hear me now?
We
Yes.
can hear you, Don.
That is weird because I could hear everything. I thought you heard me the first time I dialed in too.
I
don't
did.
know why
I did
you
hear
couldn't
you.
hear me.
Yeah, I did hear you when you dialed in, Don.
Chris.
Yeah, that's weird.
Hey, Chris, it's Lonnie. Sorry. So I would suggest, just because of where we're at, let's have John go ahead, and then we can, if we need to just visit back to anything that anybody was trying to say, we can circle back.
That's fine. All right, Don, do you want to give us an update, please?
Sure can. So we were here 2 weeks ago. Just a closure on the two actions that you had left for us 2 weeks ago. One, the thank you letter to Representative Murray for the donation Laura sent out last week. And
Bonnie Budd.
Has joined the conference.
Hello, can you hear me?
Keep on going. We can hear you now, Bonnie.
Yay. Sorry, I tried to speak up when you asked for citizen statements earlier. This is Bonnie Budd.
I'm going to circle back. Can I circle back to you after we talk about the police station, because we're already discussing the police station?
Oh, sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Don, keep on going on the police station, please.
okay, just so that was closed last week. The other one was discussing alternate plans for the parking lot should the town hall open by today, and obviously that is no longer relevant. So just wanted to just recap the sequence of events from 2 weeks ago to today so everybody's on the same page, if you wouldn't mind. A lot has transpired over the 2 weeks, and we need essentially the select board to give us guidance, to give the building committee guidance on two items. Essentially whether the project is deemed essential, and if so, we have a few change proposals we'd like you to choose from with regards to how the project's going to proceed, okay?
Okay.
So just to summarize, I'll go through this as quickly as possible. So the day after your last meeting on the 24th, the governor released some guidelines for essential projects to keep employees safe. That was on the 25th. On the 26th, we received a change proposal from our general contractor, Tower Construction, that the guidelines would increase the cost to the project of $2,500 per day or $12,500 per week in order for them to comply. On Friday the 27th, through conversations through the town administrator, Kim sent a letter to Tower offering to assist them with, we were going to assist with taking temperatures of the employees at the morning. That was one of the requirements of guidelines, from the guidelines for people that work inside confined spaces or within a closed building. As a result of that, Tower updated their change proposal on the 31st and basically said, okay, we will revise our original change proposal to now require around $18,838.38 for the remaining 23 days of construction. So as of the end of March, we had 23 construction days left for essential completion of the project, at least for substantial completion. That would assume the town took the temperatures of the employees. On March 31st, the governor released some clarification on what constituted essential services. It didn't appear at the time that the police station construction project fit clearly into any of the essential services categories. So there's some gray on whether the project is really deemed essential. So on April 1st, we informed Tower that we couldn't act on the change proposal until we met with the select board because we were not clear whether the town was liable for the charges, whether it was time and money or just time. So we informed the contractor that we were meeting with you tonight and we would offer, bring their suggested proposals to you tonight, which we're going to review in a moment. Tower also informed the town that, the town of Fountora Tower at that time that we were unable to take temperatures because Fire Chief Kessler was unable to obtain the necessary equipment to do so safely. We were trying to obtain an infrared contactless thermometer, and we weren't able to do so. So we didn't want to put any employees at risk by having to come in contact with workers to take their temperatures each morning. So the next day, April 7th, Tower, essentially, none of the subcontractors showed up for work on April 2nd. Tower basically, I'm not sure if they told them not to show or if they showed and they were sent home. I don't know the details. But all the subcontractors that were supposed to work in the building were not working. And the site work was stopped because it was supposed to rain on the 2nd and the 3rd. Okay? On that same day, they issued an updated change proposal saying, well, if the town can't take the temperatures, the cost is now going to increase to $34,321 for the 23 days of work. They also issued a stop work order to the town. They basically contended that the town directed them to stop operations. So our architect, following morning, April 3rd, Kessel Booz asked Tower to produce the written order to stop operations. Per the contract, any stop orders required to be done in writing. Tower couldn't produce anything written from the town, but they stated that basically, I quote, inaction is still action. So basically, because we did not approve their change, they said that was action to stop work. And because the architect didn't approve a construction change directive, they said, okay, we've been given directions to stop work. We obviously didn't agree with that, but that's what their stance was. The town then asked, we had a little discussion last Friday, a few of us, and I reached out to the architect to ask the general contractor to contact the state to see if they could make a determination on whether they deemed the project to be essential. The general contractor refused to do that and basically stated, quote, it is our understanding that this determination has to come from the owner. Therefore, that's one of the things I wanted to turn back to you tonight. But as of this week, just so you know, site work does continue. So while Tower was contending that we told them to start work, they are still working on the outdoors. So if you go by the last 2 days, they've done a lot of work on the parking lot. The curbing is in. They're starting to grade the work. So they obviously did not receive a stop order from us because they're still working. They just chose not to work indoors. Okay? Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded, but that's where we are today. So what we need some direction from the select board tonight is on two issues. One, do you deem the project is essential so that it should continue? And then if so, what portions of the work would you like to continue? We have a couple of different proposals that we can entertain. Basically, do all the work or potentially just continue with the site work and put the building off to the side. And I wanted to just stop here and pause and turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman, for your discussion.
Thank you for that update, Don. So just a quick question. If we were to deem the project essential, has the building committee met, and out of the three options that you provided us, has the building committee selected one of those three options as what they would recommend for us?
Excellent question. Yep. So, one, no, the building committee aren't posted till tomorrow night. Having said that, there are really only two options left on the table. One of the three was for the town to take the temperatures, but because we are not equipped to do so, we're really down to two options. One, continue with, basically tell the general contractor, continue with all the work, and then it falls on the general contractor to determine how to cover the medical requirements for temperature taking, or just do the site work, and the site work is under less stringent conditions. There's temperatures not required to be taken for those not working inside a building. So the difference between those two is one is a $34,300 potential charge, and the second one is a little less than $4,000. Having said that, we've worked with our architect, and we have two sets of construction change directives that we can give back to the general contractor. One of which is we agree to the proposal and we're willing to pay. The second one is where we agree with allowing you to do the work, but we do not agree that we are liable for the charges. We allow them time, but no money. That's the preference of at least myself. Again, I can't speak for the whole committee, but from speaking to Chairman Cronin, who's online, and another member of our board who's an architect, we believe, per the contract, we should give the general contractor the opportunity to continue, and we can talk about who is responsible for payment sometime later.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can I interject something? Chris?
Yeah, go ahead, Cindy.
There's a couple other little wrinkles. Don's done an incredibly good job of getting all the details in order and summarizing things accurately for you. But there's a couple of legal things that are hanging out there that concern me. If the board votes that they deem the project essential, there is still the possibility that the contractor could seek a determination from the state and the state would say otherwise, in which case the state would govern. I'm not so sure what the state would do at this point, and I'm not sure whether the selectmen want to themselves, select board, my apologies, put it out there to the state and get a determination from the state before they proceed. My second concern on that front is if you make the decision that it's essential and ultimately the state does not agree, that could make for a weaker argument that the contractor should bear the costs. Whereas if the state says, yep, it's essential, then I think you're on stronger footing for placing the cost on the contractor. That being said, in light of everything that's going on, and in light of where the project is, and in light of what you may or may not want to do with your contractor, there may be a million other ways to divvy up the costs where everyone is paying for some of the burden of this. And I just wanted to give you that backdrop.
Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. You know, from my standpoint, you know, I look at this as we control our own destiny. And it's not like we have to move out of our current station tomorrow or even in 23 days. We need to, you know, we can control our timing. And clearly we want to keep people safe, and we don't want to put any, in my opinion, I wouldn't want to put any undue burden onto a contractor unfairly. You know, based off of what I've read, it appears that this contractor, in my humble opinion, is looking at this project as non-essential, and his subcontractors don't want to come to work, and he's going to find it difficult to get them to work. You know, I think the only risk we would have is if there was additional cost for general conditions because the project was deemed non-essential and it got extended out for the time of the executive order, which I believe we can figure out later down the road if we had to. So it's my opinion that, and I'll let Lonnie and Mark chime in, but it's my opinion that we could, if we wanted them to finish the site work just so that we can get the parking lot back in order and be ready for when the governor lifts his executive order, I would recommend trying to go forward with that. But not anyway.
Bill McHenry.
And then
Join the conference.
and then you know, shut down all of the interior work for the remaining 23 days and allow, you know, grant the contractor that extension for that 23 days once the executive order is lifted to complete the interior of the work. I'll pass that off to Mark or Lonnie.
Lonnie
Any
here.
comments?
Yeah, sorry. Lonnie here. I would agree that, yeah, just whatever is the simplest and doesn't really cost anybody any money. If they're, I would even open it up just a little bit more and say if their contractors are willing to come into work, and, you know, if they need to take a temperature, I guess. I mean, again, I would say that, and Cindy, maybe you would know better than what I'm saying, but those burdens fall on them. But I would say that given the situation we're in, that we would be willing to extend, even if it was, you know, if they needed a month and a half. I mean, it's not like we want to not have the building done, and we don't want to get in an argument on the final lap here. Whatever's needed time-wise, but money-wise, those items I feel fall on the contractor. But that's just my opinion. I don't know what the legal side of it.
I don't think the legal decision has been made yet. I know this particular company is taking a hardline approach on similar projects in other towns, that they don't want the responsibility of making the decision to keep working. They want the municipality to do it, and they do not want to agree to pick up the added costs. I do agree that any dispute about who pays the costs can be dealt with down the road as a grievance. I think the bigger question is there a risk, and is there a risk to the town if they require the contractor's workers to come to work, and if there is any potential of liability coming back to the town for that decision if the contractor doesn't want to do it. I agree that doing the outside work seems to be what the contractor is doing anyway, and I do believe that he's voluntarily pursuing that, and I think that makes sense in light of everything. It's outside, they can social distance, they can take whatever requirements are necessary, and you see lots of outside workers continuing to work.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is Don Warren, 36 Crestwood Drive. So, Cindy's making the point that really the site work contractor wants to complete this job now. There is nobody in his way. He can do it probably in less than 23 days given the current conditions. Obviously, it's supposed to rain, so take that with a grain of salt. But barring bad weather, it's ideal for the site to continue. Secondly, and I would argue that if you read the definition of essential, the building itself, I would agree with your assessment, Mr. Chairman, that we have a building that's working. We don't need the new one. However, we only have one parking lot. That is the only parking lot to service the Town Hall campus. We currently have a one-way that's going both directions. It's a safety concern. That is essential. That is an operating lot that's being used today, if I think there's anything you want to agree on, it's the lot. The site work is essential. The building may not be. That's really my piece.
That's where I was going, Don, was that, you know, obviously we want to have that site work done and prepared for when we open up Town Hall, which is right now forecasted to be the first week of May, knock on wood. So, you know, I'm certainly would be in agreement with that. It sounds like they're doing it anyways. I'm not sure what this why this change proposal would be coming into effect if, you know, this individual that's doing the site work, if there's no requirements to have sinks or temperatures or anything like that. I'm not sure what this 3870 makes up. Can you just give us an update on what that change proposal's for?
Sure can. So essentially, there are some requirements for the outside work. While it's not the taking of temperatures, they are still required to have hand washing stations. They still required to have an on-site COVID safety administrator. They still have to self-certify that they don't have a fever, they haven't been in contact with them. There are some still requirements, and they, even though they're working outside, they still have to wipe down the handles of their equipment if there are more than one people using it. There are two people that work for that site construction company, and they both use the same equipment, so they're required to clean it. So they need some wipes. There's some materials involved. That's what the few $1,000s are over the 23 days.
Yeah, it's a shame that this is what we get down to, that we have to pay additional money for this, but it's not like deep money and you have money in your budget, so...
Well, having said that, Scott, sorry to cut you off, we can issue a construction change directive, as Town Council stated, allowing them to continue to complete the south site work and allow them time to finish the rest of it, but agree to not pay for anything right now. We can work that later. So I have two construction change directives that the architect prepared for us. One says we agree to time and money. The other one says we just agree to time. We'll work the money out later.
So I'd be in favor of working the money out later personally, but that's from my position. Mark, Lonnie, any input on that?
Time, money later.
With me. This is Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
I just said that works for me. It sounds good.
Okay, thank you. All right, great. Lonnie?
Yeah, time, money later.
Okay. So I think that's the change proposal that we would want to go with, Don, and finish the outside work. And I think that we would deem the inside work as non-essential at this point, and we'll grant the contractor the extension for the remaining work of 23 days. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I believe it's 23 days based off of what you're saying, and hold them to that number, and we'll work out the money issues later.
Yeah, just to be clear, Chris, there's 23 work days remaining for substantial completion. After that is a couple of weeks before occupancy. Occupancy permit.
Gotcha.
Certificate of occupancy. There's some punch lists and other items. So essentially, it's 23 days of subcontractor work and then punch list and servicing on getting all to make sure everything's working and everything, whatever the right term.
Yep, I do.
The other construction guy.
Can I just interject something here for a second to clarify for my own knowledge here? Yep. What I believe I'm hearing you say is until the governor says contractors can all go back to work or this emergency is ended, no work inside, and once that order is lifted, he's got the remaining 23 days plus that he would otherwise have to finish the project.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And currently, the date from the governor, can you remind me what that date is?
Right now? I think
May
the first
4th?
week of May, correct?
Yeah,
It's May 4th.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm.
Okay.
I wouldn't hold your breath on that, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a fluid situation right now, as we all know, and, I think that this is the best approach for what we're up against right now. We're certainly all anxious to get into the new police station, get it completed. Building committee, you guys have done an exceptional job. The place looks great. Can't wait to do a ribbon cutting. But, we are where we are right now, and, we need to be smart and be safe. So I think this is probably the best way to approach it. Any other further discussions on the police station?
No, thank you very much. I will bring this CCD to the building committee tomorrow night for a formal approval. Unless you approve it, I mean, I don't know what the right approach is. If you want to approve it here, we're meeting tomorrow night.
No, I would say that you would follow your normal process, Don and Joe. I would say that you know where the select board is on this. So I think that that's your marching orders, and I think you just need to take it from here.
Thank you.
Does the select board want to vote to support that particular directive that deals with time and not money now?
If you're recommending it as our council, I'll take a motion.
I would feel best, and I think Don would feel best, but I don't want to put words in his throat, if there was clear directive from the board that this is what they wish to do.
Lonnie?
That's fair. Go ahead, Lonnie.
Lonnie Tinio, 13 North Ave. I move to proceed forward with the building committee to act upon the change that is time with the money to be worked out later.
Mark Earl, second.
Okay, any further discussion on that?
If you want, this is Don. I'm sorry. If you want, just so you know, the change order proposal number is 55. If you just want to add that to your motion, the change we received from the contractor is change order proposal number 55. That outlines just site work only, nothing inside.
Yeah, so we...
As amended.
Yeah, there you go. Change order 55. 55.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
You need a roll call.
Yeah.
Real aye.
Tinio, aye. Tinio, aye.
All righty. All right. Thank you very much, Building Committee. I really appreciate all the work and the update. Don, great work, and Joe, and we'll look forward to seeing the project start back up.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go back to Bonnie. I think that she was trying to chime in statements and petitions. Bonnie, you still on?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello? Can you
Go
hear me?
ahead.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Great. Okay, thank you. Bonnie Budd, 8 Harrington Street. Mr. Chairman and Select Board, I submitted a letter to each of you this morning, and I know it's out within the 48 hours, so I'm not sure there was any time to look at that yet. Would it be appropriate for me to read that letter or just kind of talk about my issue?
Bonnie, we did receive your correspondence this morning. We have not had an opportunity to review it, and I'm not sure if it actually even lands within the Select Board's jurisdiction. We can certainly take it under advisement, but what I would recommend is give us a little opportunity to digest what you sent to us with your concerns, and then allow us to respond to you appropriately. And if we feel that we need to have you put onto the agenda due to it does fall within our jurisdiction, we'll certainly do that, or we'll ensure that that whoever's responsibility it is to get back to you, we'll get back to you immediately with a response. Is that okay?
I had written to you under the advisement of the town clerk. She also had me copy the zoning enforcement. So I hope that this is the right body.
Well, again, I think what the correspondence is, you're bringing it to our attention. However, we haven't had an opportunity as a select board to look into and see if it even belongs with us, or does it belong with the planning board or the zoning board, et cetera. So I'd like to be able to take our time to look at that. And once we've had the opportunity to look at your correspondence, respond to it properly. I don't want to take the time out of this meeting tonight to do that, since we just received it. It really doesn't fall within the 48-hour guidelines. So you'll allow us just to review that, and then once we have that opportunity, I will get back to you, or the right body will get back to you and start to address your concerns. Okay?
Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Going back to the agenda. Stay with me 1 second, because I got too many documents open. Somebody just came in. So we're going to, we need to go to agenda item number 5. I'll take a motion, Lonnie.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Number 5. Yep, I move to comply with the updated COVID-19 state guidelines. All town buildings will remain closed to the public through May 4th, 2020.
Second. All right. Discussion on that. I would say that obviously we have a executive order from the governor. We're following that. This is a fluid situation. We'll continue on updating if we have to, but right now this is the directive that we received from the governor, and we're just following his directive. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? Take a roll call.
Tenio, aye.
Real eye.
Burke, aye. Okay. All right, very good. Agenda item number 6, discuss the town meeting dates. Kim?
So I had put this item back on the agenda because I was thinking it's likely that we're going to have to change the meeting date again. But at this point, I'm comfortable passing over this and planning to look at it in 2 weeks when we maybe have a little bit more information. Right now, we're targeting June 1 still, and the warrant should be done. So most of what we have to do is going to be completed in time. So we really only will be moving it again if we have to because of, COVID.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we'll pass over that for now. We'll look at that again if we need to. But right now, we'll just we're keeping the date. Kim, remind us of the date again. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
June 1. June 1.
June 1. Thank you. Okay. All right. Moving on. Review of the ATM warrant. Kim, I'll let you jump on again.
Do we want to go through the warrant article by article?
I'd say not the consent stuff that we normally have to do. So you can just jump over all those articles.
I'm just trying to open it up. Okay. So we did, Laura and I did rearrange some of the articles from last time. Basically, we put all the sort of known ones that we're used to doing up front, and then all the newer ones towards the back, just to help simplify. So for this process to skip through. So 1, 2, 3. I know people are listening don't have it in front of them. So 1 is the vote that anything if you don't have a funding source will be out of order. 2 is salaries and compensation for elected officials. 3 is the budget. 4 is the override for the school. 5 is for the assessor's cyclical inspection program. 6 is the assessor update valuation account. 7 is grants for in the police department. 8 is the 5-year land use program. 9 is Chapter 90. 10 is actually a typo for now that will come out. 11 is the funding for the Affordable Housing Coordinator. And those are all mostly consent or close to being consent. They're all ones that we're familiar with, okay? Article 12 is the additional money from CPC to pay for the $1.4 million for the debt for the police station. 13, and I believe, let me just check this one. Oh, so this is the original. 13 is the original funding for the police station. It's the larger payment. 14 is the CPC funding for the Pheno property. 15 is the money to operate enterprise funds for the water department. 16 is the limit for revolving funds, though I think that's actually listed right now, right, Cindy? You could chime in, but that might not, but doesn't matter, we can vote on it anyway. So 17 is something from the Land Use Committee. I think you have someone on the line to speak to that.
I'm
We have
on.
somebody
This is
from the
Ann
Land Use
Mazar.
Committee that wants to update us on the Article 17.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me? Can
I
anyone
can do
hear me?
this one if they're not here.
I'm
Doesn't
here.
sound like they are, so go ahead.
This is another one. She's only on one line.
Okay. Should we have her try calling back in, Dan?
That's what worked last time, I think.
Okay. Why don't you try to, we'll skip over 17 for now. We'll go to 18, and then if she can get back on, Dan, we'll go back to 17, okay?
Calling back in.
I think she's in.
Is that you, Ann?
No, that was probably her leaving.
We can wait 2 seconds. But the next 7 are her anyway.
Can I interject? This is Ellen Agro, Dan Vincent Road.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi. I just want to let you know that I did put a copy of the draft warrant on the agenda with all the other documents. So if people want to bring that up on their computers, they can.
Has joined the conference.
Great. Thank you so much, Ellen. I appreciate that. Okay. Hi, Ann. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. And we're at Article 17. So this is...
that one, if you want, can wait till November or keep it on either way.
If it can wait till November, then I'd say let's table it. Would you agree, Kim? Kim?
Do I agree? That's if the article is complete and it doesn't need anything besides council review, then it's fine if it stays. But I mean, I think any article that can move because it's not essential to be voted on now should move. That's my position, but it's up to you guys.
No, I understand that, but I just heard Ann say that it could move to November. So if she's saying that it can move to November, Mark, do you have any strong opinions on 17?
I don't, I don't think that between June and November, this is going to make a huge difference. But, I mean, if it's ready to go now, it's probably able to be ready to go for November. So I would leave it up to Ann.
Ann Mazar, I was just going to say it's not very controversial, so, it probably wouldn't take much time if you did leave it on.
Okay. Lonnie, do you have any opinions on this? I don't care either way.
Look, if it doesn't need to be on this meeting, because if we're gonna be short on time, or we all want to be in the same room, because things might still be a little sketchy. The shorter the time, the better. It doesn't matter. If it needs to be there, it needs to be there. If it doesn't need to be there, then just move it.
Yeah.
You can take it off then.
Okay. All right. Why don't we just push it then, and just to Lonnie's point, I could have gone either way on it. All right. What's 18? Kim?
18 is the zoning bylaw change, which was supposed to be on the November meeting, but it got pulled. I would prefer it stays on. I don't think it's that controversial. We've been talking about this for like 4 years now, but that would be my opinion.
Okay. Mark?
I'm happy to leave it on.
Okay. Lonnie?
That's fine.
Is the planning board going to be able to have its hearing?
They will, yes, they will plan to do that before, within the right timeline.
Okay.
All right. And they can do that virtually now, Cindy, due to the executive order, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Alrighty. 19?
19 is kind of housekeeping. There's a bylaw in the bylaws that shouldn't be there. So it's also, again, not very controversial. It's just getting rid of an expired bylaw.
Can I just
move?
interject it? Right. So I think it's about shortening the length of the meeting. It's not just about, it is about shortening the length of the meeting so that less time together in one room. That's true. But the other issue is definitely about being able to get this information and details about these articles adequately to read in time to make decisions. And
Has joined the conference.
I'm concerned that we're not going to have the right mechanisms in place to really effectively do this. So this is, I think this one, even though I'm not objecting to the word controversial, I'm just saying I don't feel like we're going to have enough time to really do all of these individual articles justice to explain them, and that concerns me. So if it can wait till November and we have more time to do that, I don't see the downside.
And is that 18 and 19 you're talking about?
Yeah, but just in general for any of them. I mean, I get that there's not much difference between June and November, but the difference in the months, but the difference really is in the time and being able to interact with residents and share information about these things. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we can move 18 and 19 to November if that works better.
This is Mark. I just don't see how removing an expired bylaw needs to be, I don't know. I just think it's a simple thing to do and just to get it done. That's my opinion.
Yeah, Mark, I was kind of, going with you on this. I was sitting there. If this is just quick housekeeping, I wouldn't object to keeping it on, to be honest with you, with these.
Because it just alleviates the pressure on a November meeting when we're trying to push off some of the more potentially controversial articles. If we can do something like removing an expired bylaw for this meeting, it seems to make sense to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mark. I think if this is housekeeping, Kim's point is certainly 100% valid, and I thank everybody who has articles on there that are willing to push off to be able to give the time deserved to educate the public and let them make an informative decision. And if there's just housekeeping stuff that doesn't require a lot of heavy lifting, then I would definitely agree to keep them on. Ronnie, any comments on that? On these?
No.
You?
No.
Okay, why don't we leave 18 and 19 on, Kim, as their house cleaning? All right, go to Article 20.
20 is actually a different worded article. Or wait, 20 or... Yeah.
20 seems to be a Board of Selectmen article, which is the easement through...
Oh, yeah, you can take that off. You can take that off. Because we're not going to be looking to use that property, to use that as an easement. So 20 can be removed.
Okay, 20's gone. All right, 21. Oh, and you got a lot.
21, yeah, so that, I think, well, Dan, do you want to talk to that?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, give me 1 second. I got to turn something off. There's going to be echo.
The amount they're asking for is nice. Okay.
Hi, sorry. So Article 20, the parks, we're looking for some money for engineering to hopefully do some drainage and landscaping that needs to get done at the town beach. So I think the hope is that if we could leave this on, I think it should be pretty quick because we'd like to ideally get this done before next fall.
Okay. Comment, guys?
I'm fine with leaving it on.
Yeah, okay.
Lonnie? Okay. Kim, any comment on that one?
If there's a timing condition because of the project work, then fine.
Okay. 22?
Dan, do you want to speak to that also?
Yeah, Kat, none of them are on the line? Yes. Maybe? I guess not. So that is just a request. Did somebody else join?
I didn't hear anybody.
That article is... Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan. It's your show.
Okay, yeah, there's like a weird delay. So that article is for CPA funds to add some additional gutters to the record room to try and address an ongoing drainage issue. I believe the price I saw was somewhere around $1,000. I think it should be, again, I think it's a pretty quick discussion, but I think this is probably somewhat time sensitive. As soon as we can do the work we'd like to, because it's just the water's pouring in the foundation there.
Okay. Lonnie?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right. Mark?
Fine with me.
Okay. 23?
23 and 24 are housekeeping, so they can wait till November, or you can keep them either way, whatever you want to do.
Housekeeping in which way? Just what do we need to do on 23? I'm sorry?
It's just money that's in special accounts that the project's done and the money wasn't needed, so I want to eventually put it back into the CPA account, but it's not urgent.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just moving money around, I think those are quick, like you said, and those are housekeeping. 24 also, same thing?
23 and 24 both, so.
Yeah, okay. Mark and Lonnie on those?
Okay.
All right, me.
Okay.
So that's keep them or move them?
No, we're going to keep them because it just housekeeping. Those ones you can literally get through in 5 minutes.
Okay.
25.
So 25. Wait. Oh, 25. Oh, this is the pollinator meadow, and we would like to keep this on. The location, though, is moved down to the meadow that Lonnie had suggested, down from Road 16.
Okay. So, any discussion on that, Mark?
No, I think this is pretty basic.
Okay, Lonnie?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, 26.
So 26 is going to be different. It's the same goal, but and I sent the wording to Laura. But we're looking to complete the initial phase of a public water supply permitting for development of affordable homes. But it's at 52 Providence Street. There's a location sort of behind the highway barn, so we don't need the easement, and we don't need to. It costs a lot less. It's $10,000. You want me to read the whole? Yeah. Okay.
The only time you're here, I can answer questions.
What we're just going to do is go ahead. Go ahead, Ann.
I was going to say, so ignore what's written on 26. We're not doing that at all. I'll just read the article so that you know what we're trying to do. So to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from the Community Preservation Act Affordable Housing Account to complete the initial phase of public water supply permitting for development of affordable homes at 52 Providence Street, or act anything in relation thereto.
Okay.
Would you like me to give a quick explanation?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Bill.
I have a open grant, and we were originally trying to, plan A was to go through the Ritchie property, which we've abandoned that idea and gone back to trying to site the wells on the lower portion of 52 Providence. And we think we can complete the grant using just the grant funds, but we'd like to have some more money allocated in case we run over. And this is almost like a contingency request. And the only way would be to be able to complete the grant work and close it out, and so we'd like to leave it on and not let it go to November if possible.
Mm-hmm. Mark?
I'm good with this going forward.
Okay, Lonnie?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right, very good. We'll keep it on. 27 is water. Is that Dan?
Yeah, so I believe this is to petition the state legislature to do special legislation to rename the Water Commission the Water and Sewer Commission. It sounds like the intent here is to at least start exploring the possibility of town sewer. The way to do that is to have a committee that can start to look into that. So it's probably a process to go to the state. So I think the hope is to try and get this part of it done so then the state part can take however long.
So I'm a little bit confused on this article. If it's something we're interested in, can't we just, as the board, appoint a committee to research that?
Yeah.
I think this came from Kevin. I think the intent behind it was that the Water Commission was already starting to explore some options related to town water, and sewer is somewhat related, so it would make sense to have a group, the same group, do the work. I don't know if they formally need that job title or not. In this case, I'm kind of just the messenger.
This is Mike Morale. Can I just chime in about this?
Sure, Mike, go ahead.
Kevin Rudden and myself, and actually Tom Morale by the Economic Development Committee had actually met with the Blackstone Valley Chamber of Commerce, and also been talking to State Rep Brian Murray about the Brownsfield land, the old apple orchard, and about grant money that's available, and then potentially turning water on 16 and 140 even into sewer as well. And apparently there's monies available, and the legislature has already put money on an earmark to let us study this. Apparently, in order for us to, as a town, to pursue this, the way the statute reads, it has to be water and sewer. And the easiest way to do it would just be to rename an existing commission, just change the name, and then it meets the statute. And that's the way it was explained to me.
So basically, we have to, from the water board, we just have to change the name of the water board to the Water and Sewer Commission, and that's it, in order for you guys to be able to apply for a grant and investigate.
Yeah, in order for the legislature for us to spend the money that they've already earmarked, and then pursue it through to potentially get grants and interest-free loans, because there's federal loans involved with the towns around us that are upgrading their sewer capacity and modernizing it. They have to make it available to the towns around them because it was done with federal money. But in order for us to be able to do it, we have to have an entity that has the word.
That has its title. It's just a name change. This is all it says.
Exactly. That's all it is, just a name change.
Okay. All right. And is there any reason why we need to rush on this one?
Dan here.
Hi, Dan.
I think the only reason to try and get it done is, my guess is the process at the State House could take multiple months, and none of that will happen until we do this part. So that would be the only reason, is if we don't do it till November, it could be 6 months after November before it makes it through the State House.
this is Mark.
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead.
So, first question is, has the Water Commission voted on this recommendation to have it be changed?
Yes, Kevin brought this up at the last meeting, and the Water Commission's in favor of this.
Okay. The second piece is, if there's legislative action that's involved here, so say this gets done in even November, a bill could be filed late and you'd have to refile the bill in January. So the likelihood of, even if we had this meeting on June 1st, the action isn't going to be taken up, in time, probably this session at all. But, if we're in favor of doing it, then it doesn't hurt to get it done. So just wanted to bring up some points.
Thanks.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So, I'm just curious, since Cindy is on the line, this is I know it seems like a rather simple name change, but I'm wondering, because it does take an act of the legislature to change it, shouldn't we look a little bit and be sure there aren't any additional ramifications?
Kim, to that point, I'm sitting here going, this article is worrying me because I'm concerned that it may be more than a simple name change. I have not looked at this issue at all. You don't have sewer commissioners, correct?
Correct.
But there's usually a process for creating a board of sewer commissioners and creating a board of water commissioners, and I'm reluctant to say, as I'm sitting here now, that just by virtue of changing their name, they've jumped through all the right hoops to actually make them one. And so even if you put it on, I would say I would not pass judgment on whether I think you should act on it until we've done a little more research to verify that we're not missing part of the process to actually create the agency, the board.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's my concern. I'm very leery of anything that is touted as being, it's just a simple name change, and it's a whole different bunch of responsibilities that you have, even though in your town you don't have any yet. If you are contemplating sewer, you will have the water commissioners as your sewer board, and you would want to make sure that they had been properly created.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Would it be beneficial, Cindy, based off of what you just said, to try to push this out to November for the fact that we want to be able to do a good due diligence on this?
I don't see a downside to that because, quite frankly, I've seen it with other special legislation that's been filed months and months ago prior to COVID coming out, that things are taking a back seat and getting lost in the legislative shuffle in light of all the COVID stuff that's stepped up to the front line and taking all of the time of the legislature. So I don't know that there would really be much of a substantive delay in the timing if you push it out. But I do think that before you rush into it, that people have a chance to figure out what exactly are we doing? Are we doing it right? Are we taking all the votes we need?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, Cindy. Do we have a comment from the water folks on pushing it out?
So this is Dan here. Unfortunately, I don't think the water commissioners are on. I think, especially based on what Mark says, to me that makes sense, but I'm just the clerk here, so I don't know.
Okay. I think we should push it out, guys. I think we should just make a decision and push it out then.
Yeah, Chris, it's Mark again.
Yeah.
I just think it makes more sense because I feel like, especially with what Cindy has mentioned, I'm not so sure of all the details here, and I would hate to jump on this and not need to jump on it. And if we can get a better understanding between now and the November meeting, we could do it in November, and then it could be filed by our legislators in January.
I agree. I totally agree with this. Lonnie?
Yep, go ahead. That's good.
Okay.
In the
All right.
in the interim, the only thing I would add is if there is any information that the proponents have that they want to send our way to get us thinking about this, I'm happy to start looking into what they have.
Okay. Thank you so much.
This is Dan. I will do that and try and get something together to send to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
So
it.
we're gonna push this out to November, but we'll start working on it. 28th, a FinCom article.
Steve Kessler's on too.
Okay, go ahead. Who wants to take the lead on this one?
It's his truck. Let him have it.
Okay.
The phone or the truck?
Either or. Either or.
So, I mean, obviously we have a 17-year-old engine, 27-year-old engine. They got to be replaced soon. I'm okay for a couple of reasons of moving. Well, I'd like to leave it on, and I'll explain why, but I'm okay with, if it's going to be the full price that we have to pay, putting it on to November. Number one, I have a vacation schedule for the first week of June, so if that is still able to happen, I will miss this town meeting. And two, I think if we wait till the fall, we may have free cash certified, and there may be more opportunities to figure out how to finance it, and I defer to the FinCom and Kim for working that out. But the reason I'd like to leave it on is we did apply for an assistance to firefighter grants through the federal government, and I mean it's a long shot, very dark horse. But if for some reason we get hit by lightning and get the grant, our share will be 5% of the cost of the truck. So we'll be looking at getting a fire truck for $30,000. If the grants were due back the 1st of March. I heard about a week ago that they were going through the review panels, and they were hoping to have the review panels done by mid-April. They were doing it remotely, and issuing an award right after that. They are way behind on this. Normally this process would have happened last fall, but because of the politics of the budget and all that, it was pushed off to now. So they are trying to squeeze it in quickly. So I'd like to leave it there. In case we do get the grant, then we have an opportunity to fund 5% somehow, with the understanding that if we don't get that grant, we'll pass over it till the fall.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. I would be surprised if Mark and Lonnie would disagree with that, but I'll let them answer that.
I'm fine.
Sounds like a plan.
Lonnie?
Yep, I'm good.
I'd love to pay.
Kim, you didn't have any way of paying for this in June, did you?
Well, actually, I was going to just say the opposite. If there's any chance that you get notification sometime in the next week before we go to print on the warrant, maybe the board can, include the removal of this in its as amended, because I think a purchase of this size, when people see this on the warrant, it's going to generate a lot of interest. And, like I said, I'm trying to eliminate as many things that don't need discussion, as possible from this warrant. If it happens, if not, we leave it on, we pass over.
Yeah, either way, I mean, I don't know how likely it is we're going to hear. They're going to supposedly start middle of April. They're good for meeting dates. So I don't know if we'll hear. And they usually spread this out. It's not allocating out the whole $350 million at once. They do it. They spread it out over several weeks, sometimes upwards of 10 weeks. But I just don't want to lose the opportunity to be able to grab that 5%, because we do have a one-year performance on those grants. We can apply for an extension, but basically if we get that grant, we're supposed to have stuff in place to do it right away.
I see. Yeah, I mean, certainly paying $30,000 for a fire truck is it's a lot better than paying $350,000. So, I think I'm fine, Mark and Lonnie, in keeping this on and taking the strategy that the chief just outlined. You know, and we could, I mean, listen, if we don't get it, we could yank it off before print, you know, because or we could just pass over it, right? We could just we could ask the moderator, I'm not sure if this is possible or not, Cindy, try to help me out here. Is there a way that we could ask the moderator to take that article out of order just to say that we're going to pass over it in the event that people are going to want to be there for that specific article and try to minimize the time in the meeting? Is that right to do? Even I don't know if that's right to do or not. You know what I mean? Any thoughts on that?
I'm fine with leaving it and just pass over it if we don't need it.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay. All right, why don't we just do that? All right, we'll just do that. All right, let's go to 29, historical.
Sorry, I unmuted myself when I was having a great conversation with you guys.
Has joined the conference.
Okay.
I think that I've seen things put out of order for a whole lot of reasons, either to make sure you have public participation, you move it up, or you move it to the back. But I
has joined the conference as the moderator. Has joined the conference. Has joined the conference.
He should be involved in the decision.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Ready? I'm going to move on to historical, number 29. Do we have somebody on historical here?
Yep, I'm here. This is Lynn.
Lynn Roberts. If we have nobody from historical.
Hold on, I think we're having technical difficulties.
Again?
I'm going to give people a minute to call back in.
All right, I'll call back in.
Hang on, wait, Lynn, you're good.
Difficulties we're having.
Oh, you can hear me, Dan? Okay.
Last time.
Chris, can you hear?
Well, that's because we're trying to get better, right?
No, they can't hear us.
Where are we in the article? So let me, hold on 1 second. I have to go on pause. I have to dial back in. Hold on.
Call back in.
Call back in.
Into the prospect of using Zoom at all for meetings?
We're going to try to implement it next meeting.
We're looking at MS Teams, which is essentially Zoom.
And when you figure that out, let me know, because that's apparently the platform my office has too.
What's that, Teams?
Yeah, and I haven't done
has joined the conference.
Oh, I can show you. I learned a lot in the last week. I can show you how to do it.
Okay, I'm back.
Does everybody have to have 3 people in order to participate in Teams?
They do not. We just make one link. We can post the link on the website, and everybody can go click it or send it to the people that want it. We can email it to whoever wants it, things like that. We can record the meeting, upload it right away, and I'm just, Kim's trying to just get the other folks back on the line. Yeah, here they come.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me? Lynn Roberts
has joined the conference as the moderator.
Calls are merged again.
I don't know there. Okay. Welcome back. So we were at Article 29, which is a historical article.
Has joined the conference.
Chris, this is Bill again.
This is Dan.
I was just going to see, what did you decide on 28?
Well, we're going to keep it on, and then realize we even jumped off.
Lynn Roberts has joined the conference.
I got bounced off somehow. But, okay.
Hi. This is Lynn.
You're on work with We're going to keep it on.
All right, now we'll have to move forward on time.
Has joined the conference.
Looks like it'll be good. I'll tell her she can drop it.
Okay, very good. All right.
This is Lynn Roberts. Can anybody hear me?
Article 29 is the historical. Who's going to talk about 29, Kim?
This is Lynn. Can anybody hear me?
Well,
I can hear you, Lynn.
I'll look in my email and see what I have that came from them.
Hang on, Lynn.
This is Cindy. I can tell you my question on this article is, what are they trying to do?
Which one, the road?
29. You want to change? You want to amend the scenic roads?
Is Dan not on the line still?
We can't hear anything.
Dan was trying to get everybody.
Lynn Roberts has joined the conference.
But he was working on it.
Lynn, there's a problem.
Dan is on the group, so we need.
Okay, hold on.
Wait, Mike. Okay, so they can't. Some of us can't hear again. So, if you can hear me, hang up and call back in, and dial your number. Okay, you can hear us. You can't speak.
We can't hear them for some reason.
Right.
So call into the, hold on, but whatever number they called into, call into the other number. Maybe there's just an issue with one of them. He can hear us. So give him a sec.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, either dial into 1233 or 1236. I'm assuming it's the 1238 that's having trouble. What did you join? 1237, Kim?
Yeah, but I'm
Lynn Roberts,
right? So
has
I understand.
has joined the conference.
Right,
yes,
all right.
1237. Yeah.
Right.
Can you hear us, Bonnie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, can anybody hear me? Lynn Roberts?
29 is a historical article.
Hello?
And
Lonnie.
What?
Lynn is still in limbo. I can hear on one and not the other.
Tell her to hang up and join 1236.
That's what I'm on.
Call
Hang
back.
on, I gotta find her number. It'll take a second.
Dan, can you hear me?
I don't have Cindy. Lonnie, I don't have Cindy.
She has to dial in. I can't make. It's not. You know.
And will you text her and tell her to dial in, please?
I already did.
Okay. Wow. We were doing so good. I don't know what happened, but we were doing good.
Yeah, there was some calls was somebody somehow looped it, and it was just. Did you hear how it just started again when somebody started to talk?
Yeah.
You got to be, you know what I mean? If you got it on speakerphone, don't use speakerphone unless you got a proper phone to do that. And definitely just mute if you don't have anything to say, no matter who it is.
Okay, we're waiting for Cindy. Mark, you still on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Have Cindy check in when she gets on. Tim?
I sent her a text and it.
Okay. I wonder if she's still having difficulty getting on. So we got Mark, Lonnie, and Kim. Laura, you're still here, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. While we're waiting for Cindy to get on, why don't we go to agenda item number 9? Is that okay, Lonnie and Mark?
Yep.
Okay. So this was topic not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours. It needs to happen due to some big hearings coming up. This is to consider the appointment of Ellen Agro to the position of ZBA Administrative Assistant. And Ellen, you're still on, correct?
I am.
Okay, good. Okay. Kim, do you want to give me an update, or Laura want to give me an update on this?
So we received a resignation letter from Sherry over the weekend. Due to the time-sensitive nature of the items that are coming up, Ellen has offered to step in the position in order to keep everything going smooth.
Ellen, you're so sweet. I would.
You don't really know me.
I'll take a motion for this, guys.
I move to appoint Ellen Agro to the position of ZBA Administrative Assistant.
Second.
Okay. Discussion on that. Obviously, we know what Ellen's capable of doing. I think she'd be fantastic there. That's my opinion.
Just another thing to add to that list of positions on her email signature.
I'll try not to update that.
You sure you know what you're getting yourself into? You got so much going on.
No.
We appreciate you stepping in. Lonnie, any comments on this?
No, thank you very much. Yeah, it's all good.
Any public comment on this? Don't hear any. All in favor?
All right. Tenio, aye.
Real aye.
Burke, aye. Okay. Thank you, Ellen, for that. Kim, while we're waiting for Cindy to come on, is there a lot of updates on your town administrator update?
No, I was just going to say that, I'm in regular conversations or conference calls with the state about things related to municipalities, and obviously a big topic on everyone's mind is still about revenues and also about the collection of taxes for this year and options that we have potentially in order to provide a little bit of leeway for residents. But we can talk a little bit more about that maybe next time. I think everyone's probably exhausted their patience at this point.
Yeah, expected to be done by now. Yeah, no, it's been a tough technical night without a doubt. Okay. Is Cindy on at this point? Kim, why don't we do this, because I'm not sure if we're going to get her back.
Right.
Why don't we finish going through the warrants, and then obviously this hasn't been finalized. Cindy has a lot of understanding and going through it as well to finalize, correct?
Right. So when we get done, because we're still going to make changes, the motion will be, pending town council review as amended. So she is definitely going to have she's going to have a full pass at everything that's still on here after we come up with a finalized version.
Okay, so are we reviewing this one more time, because I didn't see a motion for this for tonight? So are you asking us to take a motion to accept the draft, accept the warrant?
Yes, it will be, yeah.
Okay, fine. All right, so so we're on 29. Lynn was giving us an update on the scenic roads. The only question, Lynn, or I would actually ask you, Kim, or if Cindy was on the line, because it's a bylaw, why wouldn't this be coming from the planning board?
This is, and I can
sorry, I hit the wrong button. The scenic bylaws are normally handled by the Historical Commission. We're taking it to the planning board to see, what input, if any, that they have to say. But normally these come through from the Historical Commission. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Yep, thank you.
Oh, okay. Yep. Geez.
Yep.
It's worth noting it's a general bylaw, not a zoning bylaw.
Correct, yeah.
All right. So obviously we're going to need Cindy's opinion on this. I think she had some concerns about how that would be the language. The only question I have is there a reason why we would want to put it on this and not push it out to November?
One of the things that we had discussed was on Article 29 and on 30
we do anticipate probably quite a bit of discussion on both of these. Historically, the May meeting, which is now going to be the June meeting, does have larger attendance. We want to get this out to folks as much as possible. We don't have any opposition whatsoever to being passed over at the meeting. We wondered whether it's possible to leave it on the warrant and then pass over it, on the floor. And then we'll raise it again in November.
I think instead of doing that, we would take it off the warrant and push it to November. We're trying to limit the amount of discussion and give people, give our folks, our citizens, enough ample time to get up to speed on some of these larger, more controversial discussions. So it would be my vote to take 29 and 30 off and push that off to November. Mark?
I'm fine with that.
Tony?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I suppose they could be controversial. However, I would ask to move them only for the simple fact that if it is going to draw people out, then for no reason other than to come for these couple items, then again, it should be just strictly financial items that need to get us into next year that should be on this warrant. I've said it a couple times now. Nothing else. Or anything that is just 100% pressing. And I'm not saying that to you, Lynn. I'm just saying that in general. Like, we keep discussing certain things that have we should just be doing the bare minimum. But we'll keep on digging.
No, we're with you. I'm with you on that completely. We have a meeting tomorrow, and we have discussed, because you had said before, Lonnie, about trying to keep it financial. So we really don't have any problem in passing this over to November.
Okay, that would be great. It would be super helpful.
Okay. We always try.
All right, so let's, Kim, we're going to push those 29, 30, November, 31, treasurer collector. Can you give me an update on that?
Hi, it's Jen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Jen. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jen, we can hear you.
Oh, hi. So I don't have a problem actually moving this to November if you would like to wait till then. As discussed earlier, this would just be, I think, a better revenue generator and a more consistent cash flow when it comes to people who are pulling permits, but that's completely up to you.
I have no problem pushing this out to November. Mark?
I have no issue either way.
I'm fine with moving it. I'm fine with moving it.
Okay, we'll push this out to November as well. 32 is a FinCom article. Jim, you want to give us an update on this?
This is really mine. This is really a placeholder for what we're going to figure out to do with the town hall well, if need be, between now and then. So I want to leave it on in case we need to take action.
Okay. And then 33 is a citizen's petition.
Yeah, that's me, and I did it. I've been wanting to do this, obviously, since 1997, and I'd rather not have to get 100 signatures to put it back on in November if it's agreed that I still want to have it on there. But that being said, I do agree that it certainly isn't financial and isn't a discussion that needs to happen right now. I guess the question is if we can have a discussion between May and November, and I can at least discuss the merits with you at a meeting, I would ask that you would consider putting it on and not making me get 100 signatures, unless you can convince me otherwise. Is that fair?
I wish we had Cindy on the line, because I don't know that we can actually even do anything to this at this point, since it's been submitted in with the signatures. I think the best that
I'm
we
pretty
can
sure.
do is,
Well, let me put it to you like this: I'm pretty sure that as a person who submitted it, I can put something in writing and remove it, and if I can't, I'll just pass over it at the. We can have the moderator take them out of order, and I'll pass it over right up front, so it doesn't waste any time. Because I'm not interested in.
okay. Yeah, I'll follow up with Cindy on this ASAP. I just know that the board can't touch it.
No,
we can change the language and we can't move it.
No, my understanding is the only one that can is me, because I'm the one that put it on there. And I guess rather than asking, I'm making a statement. I'm going to, at some point after May, I'd like to discuss this, and it needs to be clear. This is no reflection on the current members of the board, or anybody who's been on the board for the last 20 years. It's just a situation that arose that was going to get taken care of that never really did. And I think it needs to be increased. And what I'm going to do, I guess, is try to bring it up at a meeting to convince you all to put it back on the warrant in the fall rather than me having to go out and get 100 signatures again. So I guess with all that being said, I'm going to just either remove it if I can, and Ellen will certainly know. And if I can't for some reason, then I promise I'll just pass over it at the annual, and we won't waste any time on it.
Okay.
This is Ellen.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi. Mike is correct. He is the only one that can pull it, and he needs to pull it before you guys sign the warrant. But he can pull it. So I understand what his position is here, but he is the only one that can do it.
All right. Well, then I can do. Can I? Is it on the record at this meeting enough? Would need an email for me, or just something in writing? What do you need for me to remove it?
I would prefer something in writing.
If you send her an email, because when we make the motion, we're going to do it as amended anyway. We'll have a couple days to clean it up, so it's not really. You have to do it immediately.
Well, I can. If you want me to do it right now, and then you just want to, because for housekeeping purposes, if you can do it right now, I'll just send Ellen an email right from my phone.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just saying, don't worry about. I was just going to say it doesn't have to be instantaneous. It takes another week or so once they make their motion tonight for us to clean up all of the language. But if you can send it over, that's great. It'll be one less thing we have to worry about. And that goes for anybody else who has outstanding language that needs to be reviewed by council too. Everything needs to be in pretty much by now.
All right,
okay, so sounds like everybody's clear on that. Kim, thank you for saying that. And that's the last article on the warrant. So I will take a motion.
So moved.
Okay, a second? Second. Okay, I will take a roll call vote.
Tenio, aye.
Burke, aye? Yeah. Okay, we have a warrant as amended tonight. Alrighty. Is there anything else?
I'm going to say the motion is just for Laura, pass the warrant as amended pending town council approval. Just for the minutes. Got it. Thanks.
All right. Okay, I'm pretty sure that was the last thing that we needed to discuss tonight. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All right. I'll just say thank you very much, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Appreciate everybody being patient, and we'll certainly have this cleaned up the next time we meet. And until then, have a great night. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.